right? So today we are going to see what is Postman, and then we will see what are the different features are available in Postman. And after that, we will see how we can download and install Postman tool, and then we will play some important features in Postman tool. Okay. So first of all, let us see what is Postman. So Postman is an API testing tool. Okay. A Postman is API testing tool. And what kind of testing we can do by using Postman? We can do manual testing, right? So we can do manual testing of APIs using Postman. Okay, so we can do manual testing of API using Postman. But recently they have also implemented some development related features. So nowadays the developers also started using Postman tool to create API documentation, like whatever the APIs they have developed. So if they want to create any API kind of documentation, they also are trying to use Postman tool. Okay, and which is very popular tool, and by which we can test APIs, and not only REST APIs, we can also test SOAP related APIs. In the last class, we have discussed two types of APIs, REST APIs and SOAP APIs, or we can say REST services and SOAP services, and both are supported in Postman. Okay, so first of all, let us see how we can download Postman tool, and then we will start with that. So Postman is available in two things, like we can have desktop version, or we can also have web version. So Postman tool is supported both desktop and web version, so we can use any one of them, and both are having same kind of UI, same kind of options. You don't see any difference between desktop version and web version. But the only thing is, if you have a desktop version, you can just download and install it, which will be there permanently. And if it is a web version, you have to access the Postman through URL. Okay, every time you have to open the URL through browser, and then you will able to access the Postman. And both the things will work on the same place. Like we will create only same workspace for desktop and web, and same thing will be shared. If you do something in the desktop version, which will be automatically reflected in web version, and if you do something in the web version, that will also automatically reflected in desktop version. So both works in the similar way, but the way of accessing those applications will be different. Okay, so first we will start with the desktop version. We will try to download desktop version and see what are the options are available. Later I will also show you web version. Okay, so to do this, first of all, you need to have a Gmail account, because the Postman internally use your Gmail account to access your Postman features and so on. Even if you want to download, you need to create an account in Postman, and that account you can create through your Gmail account or through your Gmail ID. That's a prerequisite. Okay, now we'll see how we can download Postman tool and how we can install. So first of all, let's go to their official website and go to Google and search for download Postman, and this is their official website. Okay, download Postman, get started for free. You can just click on it, and the Postman is a free tool, and we can just easily download and install. Right, so if you are working on Windows, you can directly download this one. So Windows 64-bit, and if you are downloading on Mac machine, you have to download separate software. You can just look for download Postman for Mac. You can search for it, and then you will able to get the Postman for Mac operating system. So this is for Windows, and if I just come down here, you can see Intel chip and Apple chip. You need to select this Apple one, and then you will able to download the installer. And once you download the installer, so the way of installation is exactly the same. There is no difference. Okay, so you can just download from here. So once you download it, you will get one executable file. Okay, so you will get an executable file. I'll show you step-by-step installation, and the guys can follow the same process. Then you will able to see the Postman tool. And I already installed my Postman on my machine. So I have just made a small document, just 2 to 3 pages of document with screenshots, and go through the document and install your Postman on your machine. Now let me just go through the steps how we can install the Postman. So first we need to go to this link and click on this link, which will download the Postman desktop version application. And before downloading, it will ask you your Gmail account, because that is a prerequisite. It will use your Gmail account. So once you click on this Windows 64-bit button, so then you will get one installer like this small icon. This is your installer, and which is an executable file. And if you're working on Mac, you will get a DMG file. And once you double click on this file, then it will start installing your Postman tool. Then you will get this screen. And here there are two options are available. One is create a free account and sign in. So if you already have an account with the Postman previously, if you already sign in, then you can use sign in, or else we need to create a free account. First time we have to use first option, create free account. And once you click on create free account, then it will go to the next screen like this. And here we can log into the Postman by using your Gmail account. Okay, sign up with Google, or where we can use Gmail account. Or if you want to create a new account with the Postman, you can just provide your email, username and password, and then click on create free account. So here, you can just look at here. I have provided my details here instead of going with the Google account, and I have provided the details here. And if you want to use, you can directly click on sign up with Google, and it will use same Google or Gmail account. And you can provide all the details here. So your email, username and password, but you have to remember this, because later if you want to use Postman, it will ask you for the login. So whenever you want to log into the Postman, you have to provide these details, and please carefully remember them. And once you create a free account, and then it will directly open your Postman tool like this. Okay, so which will, because we have gone through this process through installer. So initially we got an installer, right? So once you click on it, then this process will start. And once you started, then you will see the screen like this. This is the first screen you can see on your Postman tool. Okay, so this is your first screen you can see in your Postman tool. That's it. So once you have done it, your Postman tool installation is ready. And this is your desktop version. So you can have permanently on your machine, and whenever you want to use it, you can still use it. Later, I will show you how to work with the web version, which is exactly the same, no change in the UI or anything. So this is a desktop version of installation of Postman. So once you install your Postman tool, and then you will see a small icon like this on your desktop. So this is your Postman launching shortcut. And once you click on this, then it will open the Postman tool. I will share this document later, so you guys can go through each and every screen and just try to install on your system. Okay, so this is your Postman screen. The first time when you open your Postman, you can see different type of options here. So you can see in the left side, collections, APIs, environment, mock servers, monitors, and so on. And you can see different menu options also: home, workspaces, API network, explore. And there are so many other options also displayed here. I'll go through these options slowly one by one. And the main thing is, the first and most important thing, as soon as you started your Postman tool, the first thing is we need to create a workspace. We need to create a workspace. So let's try to understand what is a workspace. This is the most important thing. Okay, first time only once you can create a workspace. You can create any number of workspaces, but initially we will start creating one workspace. And what is a workspace? Workspace is basically an area where we maintain files. Okay, files in the sense all the test cases, requests, everything we will maintain in the workspace. So whatever the task we do in the Postman, everything will be saved inside the workspace only. Okay, files and saved there, and saved. We will area where we maintain all the files and save. So whatever task you do in the Postman, everything will be saved in the workspace. And where exactly this workspace will be created? This workspace will be created in the Google itself. So because when you're using your Postman tool, right? So beginning we provided our Gmail information, right? By using that information, Postman will automatically create for some space to you where you can maintain all the files. That is basically called as a workspace. So workspace is basically an area where you can save all your information, all your test cases, your request type, test data, everything you will able to save inside the workspace. Okay, so that's the meaning of workspace. So first time when you log in into your Postman, you have to first create a workspace, and then only we will able to do other things. So we need to understand some important terminology in the Postman. So I'll go through them one by one. So first, let us start with the workspace. So what is a workspace? Workspace is an area where we can maintain all your files, all your test cases, everything, whatever the task we do in the Postman, everything will be saved in the automatically saved in the workspace. And this workspace will be created by the Postman by using your Gmail account. Okay. Now let us see some operations on the workspace, how we can create a workspace, or suppose if you want to modify the workspace, how we can modify, or if you want to delete the workspace, how we can delete the workspace. So let us try to do some basic operations first. Okay. So if you want to create a new workspace, okay, so what we can do is here there is an option called My Workspace. And currently already I'm already using some workspace. That is the name of the workspace is My Workspace. So I just want to delete this and then I will create my own new workspace. And what I can do is if you just want to delete this, you can just select this workspace, click on the workspace name. And here you can see workspace settings. And here can click on the delete workspace. And here you need to give workspace name. This is just for deleting existing one. My workspace. I'm just giving my workspace name here. And then I click on the delete workspace. I think this is the same name we have to provide, whatever name we have given to the workspace, and then we can just click on the delete and it will automatically deleted my workspace. Now, first time when you launching your Postman, this is the screen you will see. This is a home screen. Okay, you will not see any APIs or nothing. So now we need to create a new workspace. How to create a new workspace? Create a new workspace. I will show you practically and later I will provide you each and every step screenshots and you can practice it. Create a new workspace. How to create a new workspace? So to create a new workspace, this is a home screen, right? So here you can create. So to create a new workspace is what you can do. You can just directly go to workspaces option here. And here there is an option called create workspace. Okay, create workspace. You have to click on this. So click on the create workspace. Now here it will ask you the name of the workspace. And then you have to provide some summary and other details. So here I'm giving my workspace name is, I can say My Workspace. Okay, My Workspace. This is the name of the workspace I'm giving. And then if you want to give some summary, you can just give it or else you can leave empty. Now there are 4 types of visibility types: personal, private, team, and public. 4 types of visibility options we have. Personal means what? Whatever the APIs or test cases requests you created under the workspace, you will able to see them. You will have complete access, but nobody can access them. So that's called completely personal workspace, your own personal. And private is also same. Only invited team members can access. So what is the difference between personal and private means? Personal means you only can access. Whereas when you select the private, you can also invite others in team members and they can also access. And a team is nothing but all team members can by default access, but here you have to add your team members also so that the same workspace will be used by the team. And most of the times in the real-time companies, you will use a team option because the same workspace will be shared between the teams. And then public means what? Your workspace, anybody can see, anybody can import, anybody can do anything on your workspace. That is all about public. So there are multiple options are available. So for now, let me just take the personal and then click on create workspace. So once you created this, this will create a new workspace. You can see here it will display the new workspace option here. So currently you are pointed to workspace, your own workspace. Okay, so this is how you have to create a workspace. And if you want to rename it or if you want to edit, you can do it. Suppose you can just click on here and it will allow you to change the name of the workspace. You can rename it. Okay, suppose if you want to create another workspace, again here you can just click on the new option and you can see there are multiple things will be shown. Whatever you want to create under the workspace, all the options are available. And if you want to create workspace itself, you can select this option, create a workspace to build independently or in collaboration. You can create your own workspace. So these are all called different components in Postman. So HTTP request, collection, API document, API, okay, environment, mock server, monitor, workspace. There are different components are there in the Postman. So later we will try to understand all these things. But for now, just let us try to understand about the workspace. Okay, so workspace we can create. So workspace is the first, the basic entity in the Postman. Without workspace, we cannot do any other things. First, we need to have a workspace, and then only we will continue the rest of the tasks. Okay, so the first basic level entity is workspace. We need to start with the workspace. So we created our own workspace, and if you want to rename it, you can just click on here and you can just rename it. Okay, so this is a way of creating the new workspace. And once you created your workspace, the next thing is what we can start working with the Postman options. We can start working with the Postman options. And the next most important entry is collection. Okay, collection. So what is a collection? So we have seen how to create workspace. As the first option, what I have seen, create a workspace. And then we have seen how to rename and also how to delete workspace. So these are the common operations we do: creating new workspace, renaming it, and deleting it. So these are the options we have seen. So we have just created. If you want to rename it, you can just rename it. I can say my workspace 1, automatically it is renamed. And if you want to delete this workspace, you can just select the workspace here. And here you can see workspace settings. Click on the workspace settings. And here, click on the delete workspace, which will automatically delete your workspace. Again, if you want to rename, just select this workspace 1, and you can just rename it again. Automatically, everything will be done. So these are the workspace operations: creation, renaming, and deleting. And this is the first thing which we have to do once you start working with the Postman. And the next thing is what? Creating collection. Okay, creating collection. So what is a collection? Collection is nothing but a folder where we can store all the test cases and different type of HTTP requests. Everything we will able to save under collection. So inside one workspace, we can create n number of collections. N number of collections, because sometimes you have different type of test cases, different type of request, and we can group them into multiple folders, or we can group them. So to maintain those groups, we will create a collection. Simply remember, collection is a folder which contains number of requests. Okay, collection is collection, or you can say collection contains a number of folders and HTTP requests. This is the definition. So collection is nothing but what? The collection contains a number of folders. We can create number of folders inside the collection, and HTTP requests, different type of HTTP request we can create under collection. Again, under collection, we can do multiple operations. Like we can create a new collection, we can rename a collection, we can delete the collection. Okay, and sometimes if the collection contains so many requests or so many test cases, if you want to run all the test cases, simply we will run the collection. Okay, we will run the collection. So we can also run the collection. We can also run the collection. So multiple operations we can do on the collection. So under workspace, we can create any number of collections. Okay, we can create any number of collections under workspace. Under workspace, we can create any number of collections under workspace. What is a collection? Collection means which contains a subfolders and again number of requests. And number of requests we can create in the subfolders also. Folders are optional. If you want to create, we can create, or else we can directly create the request under the collection. Now this is second important entity in the workspace. So without creating collection, we cannot create any test cases. We cannot create any HTTP request. What are the HTTP requests? In the last class we discussed. So what are the REST APIs? What are the different operations we can do? Post, get, delete, and put. So these are four are called HTTP request. So whenever you test the APIs, we have to send the HTTP request. So to save those requests or to execute those type of requests, we need a collection. So what is the hierarchy now? First, we need to create a workspace. The workspace internally contains a number of collections. We can create our own collections. Again, each collection contains a number of folders and HTTP request. And what are the different operations we can do on the collection? We can create a new collection. We can rename it. We can delete it. And sometimes we can directly run the collection. When you run the collection, when you execute your collection, what happens? Whatever HTTP request we created under the collection automatically will be executed. Okay, so that is the use of collection. Now let us see how we can create a new collection, how we can rename, how we can delete, and how we can create a different type of HTTP request under collection, and how we can run the collection. We will see one by one. So now let's go to Postman once again. So we just created a new workspace, right? So now let us create a collection. So how to create a collection? Many options are available. So you can just create here. This option you can directly use, or else you can directly go to the file. You can just go to the file here and you click on the new option, and then it will show you different options here. Let me just go to the, okay, let's go to the file and new. And once you click on the new, then it will show you all the Postman components. Okay, first of all, we need to go to the workspace, right? So I have come out from the workspace. So we need to go to workspaces and select your workspace, whichever you want to use. So now currently you are in the workspace, and then you need to go to the file, new, and then you can see the options here. Okay, before accessing all these options, first we need to go to the workspace, and then only you will be able to see here. So how to create a collection? The first option is what? You can create like this, create collection. I'm using this option. Click on the collection, and then automatically here it is created new collection. The default name is new collection. If you want to give any name, you can just give it here. I say my collection 1. My collection 1, and then automatically it is created here. This is one collection. And if you want to create another collection, simply what you can do here, you can say this option you can use, or you can use file new option, or you can use this plus option. Multiple options are there. Okay, so you can use this button. When I click on the new here, it will show you the collection option. Here you can select, or you can go to file new and you will get the same thing. Or you can directly click on the plus button here, create a new collection, which will automatically create a collection here. Directly it will create. So here I can give my collection 2. Okay, like this you can create one more type of collection. Suppose if you want to go to the through file menu, you can just go to the file, new, and here also you can select the collection. Once you select the collection, then it will automatically add it here. Then you can just change the name of the collection. Here I'll say my collection 3. So like this, you can create any number of collections. So one workspace can have any number of collections. So what is collection contains? A collection contains a HTTP request, and we can create subfolders, and also we can create multiple HTTP requests. That is the meaning of collection. So we have seen how to create a collection, but how to rename a collection? If you want to just rename it, what you can do, you can just select one of the collection here. And if you want to rename it, you can just click on the 3 dots here. And once you click on these 3 dots, and you can see so many options here. And these are the different things we can do on the collection. So you can select the rename option here, and then you can rename it. So you can directly rename it. So like this, you can rename the collection. Suppose I want to delete the collection. So what you can do is, again, click on these 3 dots, and you can find the delete option here. Just click on the delete and confirm, and collection will be deleted. Similarly, I'm trying to delete collection. Suppose I want to create another collection, like a duplicate collection I want to create. Let us say this collection is having some content. So I want to create another collection with the same type, same collection. Like whatever the request we created inside the collection, the same collection I just want to duplicate, or I want to just copy it. So then what you can do is we can just click on the 3 dots again. So all the collection related operations we can do by clicking on three dots. And here you can see different options are there. And you can just look at here, duplicate. If I just click on the duplicate, same collection is created with a duplicate copy. So whatever the request we already have in this collection, same request will be part of the duplicate collection also. So like this, we can also duplicate the collection. And suppose if you want to export this collection, or if you want to save this collection as a file, then you can do export also. You can just go and export here. You can just click on the export and select the option here, recommended version, and then click on the export, and that a collection will be saved as a .json file. And later you can import that file in the Postman also. Later, if you want to import that file in the Postman, you can still import it. So we will discuss these options in the coming sessions, how we can export and import, how we can share the collection between the members. So these options again we will see later. So these are the very basic operations which we can do on the collection: creation of new collection, renaming, deleting, and run the collection. So when you will able to run the collection, if you have some HTTP request inside the collection, then we will able to run the collection. Okay, so I'll show you this option once you created multiple HTTP requests. Okay, now let us delete this collection for now. I'm just deleting, and then I will create one more collection. So let's create one more collection here. So you can find many options, guys. So here you can see this is the option here, this is the option here, it is option, or else you can just go to file new. So if you want to do one task, there are multiple options are available in Postman. You can use any of the option. Okay, so now I'm creating another collection. Simply you can say create collection, and here I will give one collection name. I say my collection. So this is a collection name. So I can say press outside somewhere in the Postman, then it is automatically created a new collection. Okay, so I'm just closing the tabs, not required. So now I created a new collection. This is my new collection. So once you created a collection, so what is the next thing we do is we will able to create a request, and that is the most important thing. Okay, we will able to create a request. So what is a request? What is a HTTP request? Whenever you want to test an API, let's say I have one API, and if you want to test this API, okay, so we have to send a request. We have to send some request to the API. And API will receive the request. And what API will do now? API will provide the response. API will provide the response. So request and response. These are the two important things which we need to know. So to test the API, first we need to send a request to the API. Then API will fetch the data from the database and provide the response to the user. So as an input, we have to pass a request. As an output, we will get the response. And where exactly we do validations? We do validations on response. We do a lot of validations on the response, like status line, status code, and response body, headers, cookies. So many things we have to test as part of the response. But if you want to do all these things, first of all, we have to send a request to the API. Then API will send the response to the user. So what kind of request we can send to the API? REST API will support. We will be able to send GET request, and we will be able to send POST request, and we will be able to send PUT request, and finally we will be able to send DELETE request. So these are the 4 types of HTTP request we can send to the API. And these requests we can create under collection. That's what I said, right? Collection contains a number of folders, subfolders. Inside the folders also we can create HTTP request, or we can directly create HTTP request inside the collection itself. So what kind of request we can create? Different type of request, or GET request, post to delete, these type of request. But what is the purpose of sending this request to the API? What GET request will do? It will retrieve the resource. Okay, it will retrieve the resource from server, or we can say from database. Okay, it will retrieve the data. So when you send GET request, API will fetch the data and provide the result. And what is a post request means? Which will create a new resource or create a resource on database, or you can say database here. Instead of server, we call it as a database. So get request will try to retrieve the data or try to resource is nothing but what in the last class we discussed. What is a resource? Resource is some functionality or some data which we can retrieve from the database. Okay, that's called resource. So whenever you do some request, that is depends on the resource only. So when you say get request, we will able to get some resource from the database server. Or when you send post request, we will able to create a new resource on the database. And when you send put request, we will able to update resource, or we can update existing resource on the database. We can update existing resource on the database. When you send the delete request, that will delete existing resource from database. So these are the 4 different type of request we will send through API. Okay, get request, post request, put request, and delete request. So these 4 are called as HTTP requests. Okay, so these 4 are called as a HTTP request: get request, post request, put request, and delete request. Okay, so there is one more type of request is also there called patch request. Patch, and very rarely we use this request. Patch and put, these 2 things work a similar way, but a small difference is there. Let me tell you. Patch. So what is a patch? Is nothing but, suppose when you say put here, which will update the complete resource. Suppose I want to update some partial resource. I don't want to update the complete thing. I just want to update some piece of resource. Then we can go with the patch. So this will update. This is also for updating partial details of resource. That's a simple thing. So for example, I have posted some employee data. So for example, I have EMP ID. Okay, EMP ID is there, and EMP name, and EMP salary, EMP designation. Okay, so these are the details I have posted to my database through post request. Okay, so after that, if I want to update this, okay, if you want to update this entire data, like including name, salary, designation, everything I want to update, then I have to send put request. Suppose I want to update just a salary, or I want to update just a designation, then you can send patch request. Okay, so that is a basic difference between put request and a patch request. But most of the times we don't prefer to use patch request. If you try to update any record, we will try to completely update by sending a put request itself. So both works in the similar way. The only the difference is what? In the put request, we will try to update entire resource, but in the patch request, we will try to update a partial or some portion of the data or portion of the resource. That is a basic difference between put request and a patch request. Okay, so now let us see how we can create these HTTP requests under the collection. So for what we have understood what is Workspace, how to create a workspace, and what is a collection, how to create a collection. So now we are going to create different type of HTTP request, and then we will try to run the request. We will try to send a request, and we will see what kind of response you will get and what are the things will be part of your response. Okay, so for that, I'm just taking one sample API here. Okay, so I'm just taking some sample API. So if I just go to the website, just a second. Okay, so we have some sample APIs, so request and response.in. So they have provided some demo APIs. Initially, we will just work with them, and later I will introduce you some real-time APIs. So if I just go to this page, and here they provided some sample APIs here. There are so many types of demo APIs they have provided. And not only API request, they have also provided what kind of request we have to send, what kind of response we will get. Everything we will able to test here itself. Directly we can send get request, put patch, everything we will able to send from here, and corresponding request will be sent, response code and response body, everything we will able to get it here. But this is not the right way to test APIs. So can we test APIs directly through browser? We'll able to extract the response, we'll able to send the API request through browser, but we should not use browser for testing. We cannot test the APIs through browser, but especially some type of request we can send through browser, we will able to get the response on the browser itself, but we cannot do any type of testing on the browser related response. So we need some tool. So only in the tool we can test a different type of validations we can apply. So let us try to test these APIs, or let us try to first send the API request. So we will do validations later. So we'll discuss how we can perform different type of validation. That will be the next part. But first of all, let us see how we can send different type of HTTP requests inside the collection. Okay. So now based on this document they provided, have created few test cases, API test cases. Let me share a small document here. So this is how we need to have all the tests, API test. Every request we will consider as one test. Okay. So for example, here I have taken mainly 4 type of requests: get, post, put, and delete. So these API requests I have taken from this website itself, but I have just created as Excel sheet format. So this is the entry point. So let us try to understand this. So these are the different request type which we are going to send. And whenever you send a request, we have to specify the URI, uniform resource identifier. Okay, resource identifier. So again, which contains multiple parts that we need to understand this. Okay, so the URI contains a multiple parts. So what are the parts which we need to understand? So let me take one URI and let me then explain what exactly this URI contains. Okay. So let us try to understand this one. So here, this is completely, we can call it as a uniform resource identifier. So which contains multiple things, guys. So what are this URI contains? If we just look at here, so this part from here to here, so this part is called as a host, or we can say domain, host or domain. Okay, till here, .com, .in, .edu, .org, you can see, right, this name in the websites. So this part is called host or domain. And this slash API slash here, so whatever is there after the slash, these are all called path parameters. Okay, path parameters, we call them as a path parameters. What does it mean? First it will go to the host or server. In that server it will go to API folder. Inside this there is one more folder called users. So this is a path. Okay, these are the different folders available in the server. So first it will go to the API folder, then it will go to the users folder. Now inside the user folder there are so many pages are there, and if you want to extract the data from the specific page, we have to put the condition. So this part is called query parameter. Okay, this part is called as a query parameter. So what is a path parameter is nothing but that will reflect the location where exactly the resource available. And after question mark, whatever you can see, that is called query parameter. That means which will able to filter the data from the server. So in the users location, there are so many pages are there, but which page content we required? Second page content we required. So question mark page equal to 2. This is called query parameter. And this will exactly give the resource as a response. Okay, so whenever you take any URI which contains these parts, domain or host, path parameters, and query parameters. Sometimes you may not have query parameters. Directly we can extract the data from the path parameters. It depends on how they have framed the APIs, how they have stored the data in the database servers. And accordingly, the request URL will be framed. Okay, so we need to understand this part: host and domain, path parameters, and query parameters. So whatever the path, whatever you can see slashes, right? These are all path parameter. After question mark, whatever you can see, this is called query parameters. You may have multiple path parameters, and also you may have multiple query parameters. Okay, you can have end operator here, and you can use multiple query parameters also. This is just a basic understanding. Later we will see different examples, and then we can understand better. Okay, so here we created some type of request: get request, post request, put request, and delete request. These are the different type of based on different type of request, we created different type of test cases. Okay, so now let us try to send this request. Let us try to test them through Postman. So when you send some request, what we need to do, there are two things are important. When you're sending a request, two things are important. One is what type of request we have to send. Okay, this is a request type. And along with this URI, we have to also send some request payload. Request payload is nothing but what in the last class we discussed. Payload. Payload is nothing but what? Some data. Request payload is nothing but what? Whatever the data we are passing through the request URL, that is called request payload. And once you send your request, once you get a response data, right? So that response data is called response payload. And where exactly we do validations, on request payload or response payload? Always we do the validations on response payload. So whatever response the API is given, so on that response we do validations. So what type of validations we'll do? We will do status code validation. So whenever you get some response, which will give the response along with some status code. Okay, we will discuss about status code in detail later. So for now, just understand, when you send some request, we will get some status code. So based on the status code, we can decide the request is successful or not. Okay, sometimes your request may fail. So how we will decide whether it failed or not, or success or not? Based on the status code. So based on the status code, we will decide whether your request is successful or not. So whenever you are sending some request, we have to send the URI along with the request payload. Sometimes it is not applicable, especially when you are using get request. Most of the times you don't have request payload, but some API requests need some authentication. In those cases, you have to pass username and password, some token key, something like that. That should go along with the request type. But most of the time we don't have any payload for get request. But especially we have a request payload for post request and put request. Why? Because in the post request, we will try to create a resource. We will try to create a new resource in the database. So that's the reason we have to post something here. And even in the put request also, we will try to modify something in the database. What is the type of modification we do? So that also we need to pass. But in the delete request also, we no need to pass any request payload. So the request payload should be sent along with the request type. And once you get the response payload, then we start doing validations on response payload along with the status code. Okay, so these are the things which we need to do. So now let us see how we can send these requests in the Postman tool. Okay, now let's go to the Postman, and we already created a new collection, right? Under the new collection, we will able to create a different type of request. Now expand this my collection. If you add a new request, you can directly click on it, and this will go and add a request, or else you can just click on this plus button here. Here you can see the plus button. Can you see here? This is my plus button I'm highlighting, that you can use, or else you can just go to the file and take the new, and here also you can see HTTP request. So you can do multiple ways. There are multiple ways are there if you want to do any task here. Okay. So now what I can do is I'm just clicking on this link, add a new request under this collection. So click on add a request. Now, as soon as you click on add, by default, it is added get request. You can see here. And here it is asking for the request type. So let me just provide the name here. I'll name it as get request. Okay, I'll name it as a get request. And you can rename this later if you want. Just say get request. And in this is just a name. So here, there are so many types of requests are there, but we are not going to use all of them in the projects. Most of the times we use only 4 type of request: get, post, and delete. So let's take a get request here. And what kind of URL we have to send here, URI or URL, whatever. You can just copy this URL as it is, copy this, and then paste it over in the bar. Okay, so now as soon as you add it here, you can see here. So query parameters, by default, these parameters are captured from this URL. You can see here, after question mark, whatever is there, that is called query parameter. So that query parameter is automatically captured in this section, param section. And there are some other sections also there. Whenever you send some request, right? So if you want to send some body also along with the request, so then what kind of body or what kind of request payload we can send? Parameters, authorization, headers, body, pre-request script, test, settings, multiple things are there. So we'll discuss all these things later. So for now, just understand how we can send a request. So I'm posted my URL. So do we need to pass any request payload along with this URL for now? You don't need to pass any request payload. So then what you can do now, we can just directly click on the send button. So which will make a get request to the server. So when you click on this send button, now observe what is happening. Yeah, so now we got some data here as a response, right? So we got some data as part of response. So let us try to analyze the response. So we can just go down, and here you can see multiple tabs here: body, cookies, headers, test results, and along with them you can see something called status code, how much time it is taken, how much data we retrieved from the server. So these details will be displayed here. So this is the main area which we need to focus. So when you send an API request, get request, then you got the response from the server. So here you can see the response body, or we can say response payload. So we do validations on this particular area. So what are the validations we do is mainly status code. Here you can see the status code. If your request is successful, we will get to 200 most of the times. And there are some other status codes also there. Different type of request based on different type of response, we will get a different type of status code. I will discuss later. And the other one is how much time it is taken to get a response, how much data we captured. So how much data, how much size of data we have got as part of response. That information will be validated. And other than this, the body of the response. So content in the response we need to validate. And in the content, you can just look at here. This is a JSON format. Sometimes you may have XML format. Sometimes you will get the response in the XML format. So whatever it is, we should be able to do some validations on the response body also. And here we will use something called XML path or JSON path. By using some techniques, we will do some content validations on this particular response body. Okay, those things we will discuss again later. So apart from this response, what else we will test? Cookies part. So whenever you send some response, sometimes you will get the cookies also. And those cookies should be validated. Currently, this API is not returning any cookies, so there is no data available here. But sometimes when you send some request, which will also return some cookies, those we need to validate. And also headers. And headers is also having some information about your API request, like and in what date you have got the response, what is the content type you captured, encoding format, connection type. So there are some available information there in the headers, and these headers information also we have to validate. And the body, cookies, and headers, these are the part of the validations along with the status code and other things. And test results, this is the actually Postman option which is provided. So whenever you add some validations, okay, and then we will get this test results here. So far we have not added any validations, so that we just got only response here. But if we add any validation points after while sending the request, and if the validation got passed, then you'll get the test results passed. If the validation got failed, then you will get the failure messages here. And these things we will get after applying some validations on the API request. So that so far we have not added any validations, so the test results part is also empty. So this is called response body. Cookies. Cookies are nothing but what? The temporary files, temporary internet files which are created while browsing some pages. Even in the browser also the cookies will be created. Whenever you're browsing some pages, your browser will remember the data, right? Suppose when you log into the Gmail first time, and after successful login without logout, just close that application. And the next time trying to log in, it will not ask you login again. It will directly log into the Gmail. How it is happening? Because first time when you're browsing sometime, or first time when you're providing some information like registration data or login data, your information is saved in the cookies format. Okay, that's called cookie. Cookie is nothing but they are internet files, temporary files which are created by the browsers, which contains the data. Similarly, whenever you send some request, the server will give some response, and the cookie is also part of that response. And what kind of cookies they have created, those things we will validate. Similarly, headers also. Headers contains what kind of response they have sent to us, and what time they have sent, what is the type of data. So these details are available in the headers. So as part of the validations, so what are all things we do? Validations. What are the validations we do? Once you get a response, the first and most important thing is what? Status code validation. Status code validation. And sometimes we also test the how much time it is taken. Okay, how much time it is taken to get the response, how much size of data we get. So here it is reflected the data size 1.83 KB data which is returned. Okay, and these three things commonly required for every API request to test. Apart from this, the main important thing is what? Response body. Response body we have to validate, which is normally in JSON or XML format. So later we will try to understand how many ways we can validate the response body. And after that, what else we can validate? Cookies and also headers. So these are all things we need to validate once you send your API request. Okay, now let us try to send rest of the request. So I have sent my get request here, and I got some response here, and later I will add validations and so on. Now I'm not discussing about validations. First, initially just try to understand how we can send different type of request and what kind of response we will get. Okay, now if you want to save this, you can directly click on the save button and save request. That will be saved under your collection. So get request is got saved. Now similarly, if I want to send another type of request, suppose I want to post request, I want to send post. What is post will do? Which will create a new record in the database, which will create a new record in the database or new resource in the database. And when you send a post request, we need to also send a request payload. We need to create, we have to send a name and a job. When you pass these two details, then it will create a new record in the database, or it will create a new resource in the database. And what is the response you will get? You will get the ID will automatically generated for this record along with the time when it is created in the database. Okay, when it is created in the database, even that also we will able to get the response here. So this is a request payload, this is a response payload. Okay, now let us try to create this record in the database. Now we'll see the response. How to send the post request? Let's copy this URL. And here we do not have a query parameter, just we have a path parameter. Now go back, and if you want to create another request, what you can do? You can just select here collection and here add request. You can use this option, or you can directly click on the plus button here, or you can select the collection or go to the file, new, and here you can take the HTTP request. So for everything, three options are available. Now let me just click on this plus button directly so that I'm creating one more collection. So this is a one more type of tab it is open. Previous one I'm just closing it. So this is a new tab which is open here. Now I want to send post request. Okay, so let me just select the post here and then select sending the post here. This is the URL when you send the post. And do we need to pass any request payload here when you send the post request? Yes. So where exactly we need to paste this? This is a payload which we have to send, right? So where exactly we have to post this? So here, whenever you send a body, right, request body, we have to send through body section. Okay, here you can see body section. So select the body section. And here, whenever you want to send JSON type of data, you have to select the raw here, raw option. And here you can see different type of data, text, JavaScript, JSON, HTML, XML, and so on. So you need to select the JSON format here. And then here, just paste it over here, same data. Okay, now this is our post request. Go to body section, raw, select the raw option. And when you select the raw option, it will show you different formats of data. So whichever type of data we are sending, just say JSON. And again, this is not our wish. Okay, so how the APIs are designed, what kind of format it will support, all these things will be part of the document. Okay, so all these things will be part of the document, and developers will provide all this information. And you should not use whatever information you want. You have to prepare your test data, request payload, all these things according to the requirement, what they have sent. Okay, and some APIs will support JSON format, some API will support HTML, some API will support XML. So based on the API requirement, you need to prepare the data. So currently this support JSON format. I'm just putting the data here, and then just click on the send. Click on the send. Now I'm sending the post request. That will create a new user. Now observe the response here. This is the response we got. So name, whatever name you have given, the same name, job, ID, and this ID is automatically generated by the server and when it is created. So this is the actual response we captured. Actually, this is a response. Now I'll just put it here. Okay, this is the response we got. And the most important thing is what? ID. Because tomorrow, if you want to fetch this record, we have to use this ID. Okay, so what is the status code is here? 201 is a status code. Whenever you send a post request, most of the times it will create 201 status code. Okay, so what are the things we need to validate here? We have to validate whatever the name and job we have sent, same thing is there in the response body or not. And ID is created or not, we need to validate. And if there are any headers, we need to validate headers. And again, status code, time, size. So these things we need to validate. So now if you want to save this request as part of the collection, how we can save it? Just click on the, just provide the name here. Click on the save button, and then it will ask you the name, request name. I'll name it as a post request. Okay, I say post request. And where I want to save this, under my collection, select the collection and then click on the save. So now your request is saved under my collection. So now we have created a new record with the 411 is a ID. Okay, this is a new record which is created in the database through our post request. Now suppose I want to update this. Okay, I want to update this record. So name, job, ID created. Suppose I just want to update this job, or I want to update this name. So how we can update this? So we will make another request. So this time we have to send put request to update. But what is the URL we have to send now? We need to send this URL. So whatever the record we want to update, we have to send the ID of the record. So in the previous request, we have send the post request, right? We got an ID 411. So that we need to pass as part of path parameter here. Okay, so here we need to pass that ID. And along with this, what else we need to pass? What is the content we want to update? And that also should be part of your body section. Go to body section, right? So, and then just a second, guys. 1 second. Okay, so here just go to the body section. Under body, go to the raw, and here select the JSON. Here we need to pass the request payload. So what are the things we need to modify? So I can just modify this. And even this also based on the requirement we have to design. While sending the push request, how we can modify. If you want to send only job, sometimes it may not accept. If you want to send only name, not accepted. So name and job is accepted. So here 411 is representing the record ID, right? So in that record, I just want to update these details. If you want to update name, you can also update name. If you want to update only job, you can update. So previously, what is the content we have? Name is same, but job is Steiner. So here I'm just updating as an engineer. So now let us send the put request this time. Click on the send. Okay, now you can just look at this. This is the record is updated. You can see name is same, but job is updated. So this is actually updated record. So we have updated previous engineer we passed. Now it is become engineer. and also updated. So this is the response we captured. Go back, and this is a response we got. Once you send a put request, so it is got updated. And most important thing is when you send your put request, we should specify the ID. That is the most important. Okay, so here 411 we prepared, right? So as part of your put request also, we have to send 411. This is the most important. Okay, this is how we can update the record. Suppose I want to delete this record. Okay, so I just want to delete the record. So how we can delete the record? Simply take another request. Let me first save this. If you want to save this request, you can click on the save and provide your name. I can say this is my put request, and now same collection, click on the save. So now it is created another put request. So I want to delete this. So if you want to delete the request, then you can send this request. So same URL, but you need to pass your ID. So whatever ID we generated earlier, 411. So same thing we can specify here, 411. And do we need to send any request body here? Not required. So not applicable. Just we need to pass ID as part of your URL. That's it. Now, when you click on you have to select the delete option here. Okay, delete. And then click on send. Then the record is got deleted. So you will not get any response here because the record is not there. So the response is what? 204, no content. Means what? The record is already got deleted, so that it could not find any new content. So this is status code we have to validate. So this is about delete request. Now, if you want to save it again, click on the save button and provide the name here, delete request, and then save it. So like this, we can send different type of request, and we can save those requests under the collection. Now the collection is having how many requests? Totally 4 requests: get request, post request, put request, and then delete request. So whenever you want to run the request, what you can do again, open this, and again, one more time, click on the send. And this is the content which is having the second page. And if you change the page name accordingly, the data will be displayed. Now I'm sending 1 here. So now you got the data from the first page. Okay, now I send 3 here. And then we will get the data from the third page. And when you send 2 here, then you will get the data from the second page. So like this, you can test multiple times. Once you create a request, you can run them any number of times. And similarly, post request, you can send this multiple times because this record we already deleted. So which will create another record. And put request, we can again resend to update the record and delete record. So getting the resource, posting, put, and delete the resources. For doing these operations, we can use 4 different type of request: get, post, put, and delete. So these are the sample and just demo APIs, but we are not going to use this. We will create our own APIs, and we will try to use some real-time APIs so that we will get a lot of response content, and we can do so many types of validations. So this is a basic understanding. So we have created a new collection. So we knew workspace, and then we created a new collection, and inside the new collection, we created different type of request, and we try to understand what is the request payload and when you have to send, how we'll get the response payload, and what are the things will be there as part of the response we discussed. And then later we will discuss how we can validate these things. Okay, that's the next part. So first we need to understand the basic stuff. Okay, so this is how we need to send all the type of HTTP request. Okay, so now let us discuss about something called status codes. This is most important, HTTP status codes. So what are the different type of HTTP status codes are available? Because at the time of validation, which is very, very important. So based on the status code, we will check whether your request is successfully done or not. Okay, this is also part of the validation. So now we'll see how we can, what are the different status codes are available and how we'll know that. So let me share small picture. And there are multiple series are there. So all the status code we can divide into 3 different levels. Okay, 3 different levels. So one is called 200 level. Okay, and the second one is called 500 level. And there is one more thing called, I think 300. Yeah, 400, 200, 400, and 500. 200, 400, and 500. So these are the 3 different levels. Or we can say series also. We can say series, 200 series, 400 series, 500 series. We will categorize all the status codes into 3 different series. Now, if I just look at this picture, under 200, we have 200, 201, 202, 203, and 204. So every status code is representing something. Okay, so when I say 200 means what? The request, these are all successful requests. The request is successful. So 20 series are representing your request is successfully done. Okay, and what 400 series are representing? 400 series are basically representing like unauthorized access of APIs. Okay, suppose if there is an API, if you want to request, if you want to send some request to the API, you need some authentication. Some APIs are required. Some APIs require token authentication. Some APIs require like digestive authentication or bearer token authentication. Different type of authentications are there. So if you're not properly specified as authentication, you cannot send proper request. So in those cases, you will get 400 series status codes, like 400 bad request, 401 unauthorized, 403 forbidden, 404 not found, 409 conflict. So these type of status codes you will get. And suppose you are sending some request to the server, okay, and maybe some problem with the network, or sometimes the server is down, okay, our server is under maintenance. So in those cases, you will get 500 series status codes, like 500 internet server error, 501 not implemented, 502 bad gateway, service unavailable, gateway timeout, network timeout. So these are the different status codes you will get when you send your response. Okay, so if few of them you have to remember, because in interview also people will ask you, can you tell me some status code for successful request, like 200 okay, when you will get 200 okay, or when you will get 400 bad request, okay, and when you will get 502 bad gateway. So people will ask such type of questions, or in another way they will ask a different thing, like can you tell me some HTTP status codes you got while testing your APIs. So at least you have to remember 3 to 4 HTTP status codes, and that is okay for you. Okay, so these are the different status codes. So these are the different levels, guys. So 200, 400, and 500 series, and these are also part of validation. We should also validate these status codes, which are very, very important. Okay, so what we have discussed so far, let me just recap once again. And we have understood what is Workspace and how to create and rename and delete workspaces. And Workspace contains a n number of collections, and we have seen how to create a collection, how to rename it, how to delete, and how to run the collection. If you have a multiple requests, then you can run the collection. So if I just go to Postman here, we created 4 type of requests, right? We can also run the directly collection. If you want to run the all 4 requests at a time, okay? Suppose if you want to send the request one by one, we have to send like this. Open every collection, every state, every HTTP request, then we have to click on send button. Instead of doing that, what you can do, you can directly run the collection. If you run the collection, all the requests will automatically execute one after another. Now, if I just click on 3 dots, and when you see here, run collection option there. And when you run this run collection, all collections will automatically execute. You can see all the collections, whatever collections are there. So whatever request you created under collection, which will show you here. And you can also select unselect, whichever you want to execute, you can select. And then you have to select the iteration. So currently 1 iteration, how much time delay is required? Let's say 2 milliseconds for each collection. And then click on run my collection, which will automatically run all the requests from your collection. Now you can see all 4 requests are successfully executed one after another. Okay, so this is how we can also directly run the collection, which will automatically run all the requests which are created inside the collection. So now we have seen how to create a collection, renaming, deleting, and run the collection. And we can create any number of collections under the workspace. And then we understood what are the different type of requests we can send Under the collection, we have understood get request, post, put, patch, and delete requests. Some basic examples we have seen. And also we have seen what kind of validations we can do on the API, like status code, time, size, data, response body, cookies, and headers. And finally, we understood about status codes. Okay, these are all very basics before starting actual API testing. So in the next session, we will see how we can create our own APIs, because these are very simple and very demo kind of APIs they will give you, very basic APIs, but we will create our own APIs for our testing purpose. Because if you start using APIs which are available online, so sometimes those APIs may work, sometimes may not work. They are not consistent. Okay, they are not consistent. So better to create our own APIs. It is very simple to create our own APIs. I will show you how we can create our own APIs for testing purpose. And once you create it, then we will see how we can send different type of requests. And also we'll see how we can put different validations on the API response. Okay, so that's the next part. So today I will stop here, and tomorrow session we will continue rest of them. I will share this document, Excel sheet and Postman installation document, and I can also upload the collection, guys. Suppose I want to save the collection. I want to share this collection to somebody else. How we can do that? We can just click on these dots, and here we can see a collection, right? Just beside the collection, my collection, click on these three dots, and you can share. You can find one option called export. Okay, so once you click on the export here, then it will select the default option, second one, and then click on export. And once you click on export, you can save the collection. You can just go to somewhere desktop, and this is the name of the collection, and click on the save. All right, so now I have uploaded my collection. I have exported my collection. Suppose I will share that collection to you. I will upload that, but how we can use that collection? You can import also. If I don't want to create these requests, so I suggest everyone to create your own collection, your own request, because you need to practice this first. You should be familiar with all Postman options. Okay, suppose I have shared my collection to you. How we can import that collection in your Postman? Suppose let me just delete my collection here. I'm deleting my collection. I don't have any collections. Now, whatever a collection I have uploaded, right, exported, then I want to import in my Postman. Similarly, you guys can also import my collection on your Postman. So how we can import? Go to Workspace, directly you can find import option here. So click on import and then browse the file. So there are multiple options are there. Just select the file, upload files, and whichever collection just now you exported, select that collection file, JSON format, and then say open. And it will show you the details here, then say import. So automatically you will import collections. So like this, we can also export and import the collection. Okay, so this is how we need to export and import the collection. Okay, so just practice these things for today, and tomorrow we will continue the further things. Okay, yeah.